First off, I'm just honored to be here. Over the years, I've taught across the street for 9 years now, and I'm always looking over at this building. I'm like, I wonder what goes on over there. So I've had a number of your colleagues through my MBA course over the years, and I've also had a number of your colleagues through the incubation lab who've come up with brilliant ideas that they want to patent and actually get funding for. So it's been really fascinating, and I'm just absolutely honored to be here today. So what this is about is I like to start every presentation with the why. I really do like the Simon Sinek philosophy that you have to start, regardless of the kind of presentation, you have to address people's why. Why would they want to listen to you for an hour, 2 hours, 8 hours, all right? So let's talk about that. So why would you want to be here? And why would you want to invest in yourself with your communication skills? And I would say it really comes down to your professional power. And I define, for my purposes in my course, I define professional power in two ways. One, it's your brilliance, it's your vision, it's your acumen, whether it be scientific or business, whatever that is. That's half the equation. The other half of the equation is your ability to persuade, motivate, sell products, services, and ideas, and collaborate. And if you're successful in having those, and we know you all have that first piece. It's that second piece that we have to kind of think through, like, how good am I at transmitting my ideas and then making those ideas a manifest reality out here in the world? That is what is called power, professional power. And does anybody know people with brilliant ideas, but they just can't quite bring them to fruition? That's not the power we're talking about. So behind all of this, we're going to go through presentation skills, stance, eye contact, gestures, but just understand the intention behind it is your professional power. This is what we're really driving toward. This is the means for that. So I think we're on very solid ground with this bold assertion. The leadership guru Warren Bennis says, leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. And each one of you have your own personal and professional vision for yourself. So it's just a matter of how do you make that a reality? How do you bring that to fruition? And that's what we're going to really drive toward today. So just some examples, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just some examples of professional power. This guy had a brilliant manufacturing process, going to pump these things out every 10 minutes, all black, no options. Who am I talking about? Henry Ford. What was the other side of the equation for him? Who did he have to persuade? He literally had to persuade the horse and buggy crowd that this is a better buggy, all right? This guy, back in 1960, went to Congress and asked for $9 billion to send a man to the moon within 10 years. Can you imagine how much that would be today? $9 billion in 1960. He got the money. They did it. He didn't see it, but they did it. This is Karen Mazumdar-Shaw. She is a biotech scientist who was working in the UK, and back in the 80s, and she had the little thought, geez, I think I can do this back in India. So she went back to India and started her own biotech firm. She's a multi-billionaire now. This guy, a young Bill Gates, anybody know the backstory to Microsoft? So Bill gets accused of having a bit of an abrasive personality once in a while. And back when he was a young guy, he went to IBM, and his pitch was something along the lines of, you guys would be idiots if you don't do this. And they rejected him. They said, Bill, interesting idea, but you can leave. Thanks for being here. So he got rejected by IBM, and he knew he would never have that other side of the equation. So what he did is he hired his college roommate, Steve Ballmer, to be the sales face for Microsoft for all those years. That's how he got around it. This guy clearly has both sides of the equation. Oprah, brilliant speaker. Jack Ma from Alibaba, brilliant speaker. Mary Barr from GM, she's totally turning the electric car industry upside down. And this is Zoe Quinfei. Zoe Quinfei, you're probably using her products right now. She is the subcontractor for all touch screens for Apple out of China, all right? Gazillionaire, all right? So these are just some examples of people that had a vision and they were able to make it happen for themselves. So one more reason why you might want to actually invest in your communication skills is Warren Buffett says, invest in yourself. One easy way to become worth 50% more than you are right now is to hone your communication skills. You can have all the brain power in the world, but you've got to be able to transmit it, all right? So he's saying exactly the same thing I'm saying. So this is why we would want to invest in this. So My background, I was an engineer for GE Medical for a number of years. And I started looking around and I was noticing a lot of my fellow engineers having a really difficult, brilliant, technically brilliant people, but having a difficult time articulating their ideas. And I thought, geez, I think there's a gap in the market. So just for giggles, I started doing communication courses for my fellow engineers, and they took off. I'm like, well, that's all I needed. And so I've been teaching. I started Clarity Central all those 29, 30 years ago. And mostly I've been teaching technical people because I like method, being a former engineer. You never know where your career is going to go. Now I teach communication skills, but it's very methodical and process-oriented, so it's repeatable. So I'm going to give you some things today that you actually can repeat throughout your career long after today. So these are just some of the clients that I work with. All right, here's the thing. It takes forever to become a great speaker. Some people go to Toastmasters for 10 years, and I'm not busting on Toastmasters. Great place to practice, absolutely. But 10 years. The thing that haunts me and the thing that keeps me awake at night is, what if I was to reverse engineer my courses to help people become great speakers in the shortest period of time? What exactly would I do? And so that's what I want to try to address here in our quick 50, 60 minutes together, all right? So the answer to this is number one, you have to understand your audience. You have to understand who is it that you're actually talking to and what do they actually want from you authentically. So we do not see things as they are, we see them as we are. We all know about bias. We're seen all through our own bias lenses, so to speak. So the question that I have for all of us here, including myself, it's a very humbling endeavor, by the way. Are you looking at your audiences through foggy 205 lenses? Are you looking at your audiences through foggy 2015 lenses? Or are you looking at your audiences through crystal clear 2025 lenses? All right, so if you know what I'm talking about there, can anybody think of anything that's changed professionally in the last 5 years? Can anybody think of anything? Oh, and I'm definitely in the right place for this. How much do you think COVID has changed business? How do you think much? It's everything we're doing. I mean, half the audience right now is online right now. All right, so it's changed. I have clients that don't even exist anymore. I call, it's like, you have worked an unworking number. So it's changed everything. But can you imagine if you were still operating out of 2019 principles, how out of touch you would be with your audience? All right, so what's the next tidal wave that we have to be very sensitive to? And we have no idea where it's going to go. It's AI. All right. So all I'm saying is we have to stay fresh and we have to stay on top of who's the audience and what do they want from us. So this is a little harsh, but let me take you through the people that you're going to be speaking to for the rest of your career. Number one, your audience, when you get up to speak, is going to be unfocused, all right? So limitless streams of internet notifications divides our attention and decreases our ability to concentrate. When you're in deep concentration, you get tapped on the shoulder. It takes 23 minutes for you to get back to that deep level of concentration. When that phone pings, 23 minutes. First thing I do with my students, I'm going to get that phone off that table, off your desks. Why? Just having it on the desk distracts us tremendously. And you don't have to do people with their phone. No, it's okay. It's okay. But it kind of makes my point, though. So unfocused, distracted. In 2021, the average screen time, this is 2021, was 14 hours a day. That is so frightening to me. So what's the first thing that you look at in the morning? What's the last thing at night? Is it Honey Bunch? No, it's the phone. What's the thing in the middle of the night? Oh, gee, what's going on in Singapore? So screen time. People are on their screens all the time. What else? Disengaged. I still cannot believe this. I'll never believe it, but it's from Gallup. Only 15% of employees worldwide report that they're fully engaged in their jobs. All right. Your audience, the people you're talking to, they're disengaged. Overwhelmed. We are exposed to upwards of 10,000 ideas every single day. Anybody been on their laptop all day? And you get done after 8 hours and you're like, I am absolutely wiped out. Why are you so tired? You sat at your laptop for 8 hours. You sat there because you've had 10,000 ideas coming at you and your subconscious mind cannot filter. It just goes in, right? So if you know what I'm talking about, pull up any website, it starts blinking at you, 10,000 ideas. So your audience is absolutely overwhelmed. In addition, they're overworked. More than half Americans report that they're burned out. Always on, 85% of employees would take their laptop on a vacation. I just took my laptop on a vacation and it took a wave over the side of the boat. So much for that laptop. And lastly, self-absorbed, the average the number of people that can be categorized as narcissistic has increased by 50% since the 1980s. So these are the people you will be presenting to for the rest of your career, all right? So take a look at those faces. Oh, wait, I know, Mike Foley, demotivational speaker. Yeah, there you go. We also had this thing called the global pandemic. Oh, wait, it's even worse than this, because not only that, half the time, you got to do it online. All right, have you noticed it's not going away? It's not going to go away, all right? So we got to do this in person and online. So I just have a simple question for you. Turn to the person sitting next to you in groups of 2 or 3. You can lean back, she's right there. So talk to the person sitting next to you. I just want to hear from you. If everything I just went through is true, what do you need to do to get through to these people in 2025? What do we need to do? If we're going to get through to these distracted, overwhelmed, disengaged, self-absorbed people, what do we need to do as speakers? Talk to your partner. I'd love to hear your ideas. So right here, what do you need to do to get through to these people? Make it interactive, like I'm doing right now. Very good. All right. And don't be nervous if I call on you, because right now she's thinking, thank God he just stopped talking to me. All right. And she's thinking, I am next. Yes, you are. All right. So there. So what do you think? All right, Aristotle, there you go. That's called conviction, pathos. Excellent. And what else? Interesting for whom? Yeah, I would say interesting for both, because if it's interesting to me, it's going to be interesting. You know, my passion comes through. Yeah. In the purple, what'd you guys talk about? Keep it short. The attention span's getting shorter. Yeah, exactly. We'll go one more right here. Yeah.
You said you started out with, you should start out with why. That's just why, from our perspective, that maybe now the point is different.
Absolutely. And do a little research. I tell people that, you know, if you can, interview your audience members beforehand to find out what's going on. And then that kind of informs you on their why. All right. If you can't do that, you do the best you can. You anticipate where they're coming from. So very good. So I would say, understand that communication is not what's said, it's what's heard. I'll say that again. Communication is not what's said, it's what's heard. I work with a lot of executives and they're like, well, I talk how I talk. And I'm like, I always have to risk getting fired. I'm like, well, nobody's listening. All right. So just because we're comfortable doesn't mean we're effective. All right. So communication is not what's said, it's what's heard. If you don't know what I'm talking about here, who here has had a discussion with a significant other and you walk away going, wow, they heard something totally different from what I was saying? Anybody have that? All right. Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're talking about here. If you can't remember that, remember this. If you make it difficult for us in person or online, we will interrupt you or worse, tune you out. All right. So these people are already stressed out. They're already overwhelmed. They're already overworked. And now you, as a communicator, as a person giving a presentation, you're going to make their life more difficult. What's your name? What's it? Amy? Because we're going to stay late today, and we're going to go through to about 5 p.m., no breaks, by the way, and I'm going to talk. This is my comfort level, Amy, and I don't believe in getting out of my comfort zone because it's about staying in my comfort zone. So I'm going to talk like this. We're going to turn the heat up here as well, and I'm going to talk like this for the next 4 hours. I'm really excited about what I have to talk about. Amy, am I making your life more difficult right now? Infinitely, all right? So when we don't talk loud enough, it's not about our comfort zone. I know. I'm so sorry I'm so depressing. Our audience does not care about our comfort zone. What they care about is you're making it more difficult for them to understand you. You're making it more difficult when we don't talk loud enough, when we don't hit our points, when we don't get to it pretty quickly, short attention span, when we don't back up, and then we're in the right place here for this, back up your claims with solid evidence that people don't question, you make it really difficult for that audience. Does that make sense? So the key and the thing that's going to help you tremendously is Make it easy for your audience. Make it easy for them to take in. Now, here's a trick. Doesn't mean dumb down your information. It makes it easy for people to access the brilliance, the complexity of what you're talking about. How can you do that? And that's the answer here. That's what we're going to really dive into. So remember, communication is not what's said, it's what's heard. Let's see what happens here.
Fall. And it'll be an exercise in building trust between one another. So Harrison, if you don't mind going first, step up here on this chair and close your eyes. All right, and then everybody fill in, and we're going to ask you to fall, and then they will catch you. So you have to trust us. So I'm going to count to 3, just relax and fall, okay? 1, 2, 3. No, wait, no!
Okay, so apparently he heard something different. All right, so there you go. All right, so we call this data-centric design and death by PowerPoint. It's a data dump. There's no structure. It's hard to follow. It doesn't consider the audience's questions, going back to what she just mentioned there, and an unclear conclusion. We call this exploratory. Is there a time and a place for this? Yeah, if you're spitballing with your colleagues and just getting ideas out, great. Do you want to do this at a conference? No. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Definitely not. Do you want to do this in front of a board of directors? Absolutely not. Do you want to do this in front of clients? Absolutely not. Do you want to do this in front of venture capitalists with your brilliant idea? Absolutely not. All right. So I personally find these folks to be the most dangerous people in our professions. Why? Because they're brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant. Their problem that I see again and again and again and again is when it comes to presenting, their modus operandi is, I'm going to share with you absolutely every single thing I know about this subject from A to Z in a linear laundry list way without telling you what's important and what's not important. And at the end, I'm not going to conclude either. All right. So does anybody know what I'm talking about here? All right. So it's painful because they're not doing themselves any justification because they're brilliant. They're brilliant ideas. All right. So especially, in the medical and engineering field. So what I see out there, the top 10, the research I did on medical research is top 10 mistakes. Number 1, reading directly from slides. Anybody ever have a presentation read to you? Kind of painful, all right? Not articulating ideas in a clear, concise way, not tailoring the content for the specific audience, not engaging the audience, failing to spark their attention, a weak opening and closing, not speaking clearly, failure to rehearse, ignoring technology, using poor visuals, and overloading slides with text. So what I'd like you to do, same partner, I'd like you just to talk to your partner without naming names, but when have you had to sit through one of these presentations? What was it like to be in that audience? Talk to your partner. Can we all agree? Painful? Painful, very painful. And the problem is if you don't do something different deliberately, this is the fallback. This is the default, what people do if they don't know what else to do. And what I want to work on is, what's the what else? What else can we do? So the what else is this. I call this audience-centric design. Somebody said it's all about the audience. Absolutely. So what if we started working with what the audience is, where they're coming from? So in this case, it's organized. It's easy to follow. It provides tons of evidence, anticipates the audience's questions, builds that into the talk, and there's a clear conclusion. We call this explanatory. What you're doing is you're optimizing your ability to explain complex information quickly so that this audience walks out with your material, all right? That's the thing. These people ask one simple question, and this is the one simple question all of us need to just keep asking ourselves is, when you're putting a talk together, given this specific audience, how much information should I get across? How should I structure it? And given that structure, how should I provide evidence for my claims in the form of objective evidence, statistics, facts, figures, charts, etc., as well as stories and examples, so that this audience walks out completely on board with my thesis, and I do it all in the shortest period of time possible. Wow, that is a tough question to answer. Does that make sense, everybody? So you do that, and you are an absolute breath of fresh air as a speaker, and you will always differentiate yourself out there in the marketplace. So if we went back to these issues, we can categorize these two as persuasion skills or speaking skills. We can categorize this under audience-centric design. This would be performance skills, and this would be slide design and management. So we'll see how far we can get in our little time together today. But the biggest one to focus on is if you're not speaking in an effective way, regardless of how great your slides are and regardless of how great your evidence is, it's just hard to take your message in. So you have to get these speaking skills in, and it's a little bit of neuroscience, a little bit of rewiring that has to take place for you to become a great speaker, because there's a big tension between scripting a talk and actually hitting points and ideas. And this is a lot of my MBA students and a lot of the professional staff that I work with have a difficult time making that transition. So let's talk about this. So persuasion skills. Aristotle had it right. He said, if you want to be a great leader, a great communicator, you can have an argument based on logos or logic. You can have an argument based on pathos, passion, conviction, or you can have an argument based on ethics and credibility. Pathos, that's interesting. I don't actually like the word passion. I like the word conviction. Why? Because passion kind of tells us, oh, I got to be like Anthony Robbins, really, big expressive personality. And I don't like that, because we all have different personalities. I work with a lot of engineers, and conviction can come out in a lot of different ways. If you're super expressive, good for you. That's great. That's how your passion comes out. If that's not your style, but it's more intense. So what I really want to talk about today is, why do we want to do this? Do you see how both are very effective? So conviction can show up in a lot of different ways. Do you believe what you're talking about? That's what we're talking about with pathos. All right, so let's start with logic. And logic always goes back to the rule of three. The rule of three: major premise, minor premise, conclusion, before, during, after, beginning, middle, end, intro, body, conclusion. Your grade school teachers didn't invent this. This goes back to Socrates and Aristotle. This is how the human mind works. This is how we make sense of the world, all right? So we indoctrinate little kids into the rule of three with fairy tales, with everyday life, with media, with sports, with entertainment, healthcare. Look at that. 3 minutes without oxygen, 3 hours without warmth, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. There, I got that from my wilderness first responder course. Just got that. Very good. Steve Jobs, every single one of his presentations was the rule of three, which books are written about. And consulting, it's the what is, what to focus on, what to act on. If you're ever doing a consulting project, regardless of the field, it's what is, what's the snapshot of reality. What's the snapshot of reality? Given that snapshot of reality, that's the hardest part, by the way. Given that snapshot of reality, what do we want to focus on? What are the opportunities? What are the advantages? And given that, what do we want to do about it? So it's, once again, that rule of three process. It's just how we think. So I would say, we don't want to speak like this all the time, but it is a great skill. All of you have your skills. You've got your tool bag of tools. I don't want to take anything away, but I do want to throw a couple more hammers and wrenches in there. A huge wrench for you to get very good at is the rule of three, especially when you're under duress and you need to really articulate an idea. This is a user-friendly way for you to speak to human beings. Stories, examples are another user-friendly way to speak to an audience. So you want to get very good at this, and then this expands out, and you can use it in lots of different ways. Let me give an example. So when I was working at GE, Jack Welch was the CEO, and he was on one of those Sunday morning news shows, and they said, "Mr. Welch, why is GE so successful?" Dr. Welch, actually. Oh, thank you. That's a great question. Why are we successful? It really comes down to three key things. Let's talk about this. Number one, we think strategically because we have different products, different companies throughout the entire world. So we have to think globally and strategically. Number two, we go out and we hire the best people we can find. We want smart, driven, autonomous people, and we get them on board. And number three, we know if we hire that caliber of an individual, they're going to quit on us. So what we do is we get out of the way. We let them run their own territories, their own divisions, their own business. Beyond that, we get out of the way. So why are we successful? Strategic thinking, hiring the best, getting out of the way. How long could this guy have talked? 300,000 employees? Well, good. I've got 60 points. Well, good for you, Jack. I've got ESPN. No, we're not going to listen to that. Now, I know you're probably thinking, but Mike, how am I going to get it down to 1 minute if, I've got a 30-minute talk? I never said you couldn't put threes within threes. And with the threes within threes, I never said you couldn't actually flesh those out with statistics, facts, figures, visuals, white papers, testimonials. Go wild, but do it all within the context of something that I, as your audience, can walk away with your message. Now, perfect example, I was working with an executive at Medtronic, and she was going for the FDA with a brand new heart valve or heart pump. And when I sat down with her, she had a 2-hour talk with 60 points. When I got done working with her over about a month, how many points did she have? 3. How long was her talk? This is what's interesting. It was still 2 hours. She had just chunked everything into 3 sections to communicate very quickly with the FDA, because it was worth gazillions to Medtronic to make sure that they got what she was transmitting there. All right, does that make sense? All right, so let's try one. Let's go to page 3 in your workbook, your handout, page 3. And there's a little question there. So you can write in the question, actually. Who's the med students here right now? Any med students? No, it's all just a couple. Everybody's staff? All right, great. So you are being promoted to run the medicine. We're opening a new branch in Tahiti. Congratulations. You're going to be running that new place. The only thing you have to do to take on that new position is you have to train someone in to take over your current position in 60 seconds. What are the 3 most important aspects of your current job in 60 seconds? All right, this will be a 1-minute talk. I want you on lines 1, 2, and 3 to write down what are the 3 most important aspects of your current job. You're going to go about 20-second little vignettes on each point. And if you're a student, go with the previous job, or what do you like to do outside of work? That would be fine. But for staff, if you had to train someone in 60 seconds, so notice how this is pressing you a little bit to be concise and clear. So if somebody asked me this, I'd say, yeah, thank you. What do you guys do, Mike? Well, I would say for my job, it really comes down to 3 key things. Number 1, when I start working with a client, I absolutely don't know their business and I don't know what their issues are. So it's key for me to facilitate very, very meaningful conversations. Let me give an example. Recently, I was working with a software company out in Schaumburg, and they do financial fraud detection. It's really complex what they do. I had to meet with them like 10 times to figure out what their issues were and what's going on with their business. And given that facilitation, the second thing that I do is take this information and I design interventions. I design trainings to address their very specific needs. And the third thing that I do once I do that is put together a meaningful educational experience that people can actually walk out with and actually use on the job. So those are the 3 things that I do with my consulting business. All right, everybody see what I just did there? I didn't go on for a really long period of time. And I also didn't just get to it. Now, I want to make a big point here. What we're talking about with this rule of 3, conceptually, I can teach this stuff in 2 minutes. To do it is difficult. So don't assume because you understand it, you can do it. All right, do it is a lifelong practice. All right, so just take a moment there, think about it. All right, so get your 3 points. And just before you do this with your partners here, some of you are left brain and some of you are right brain. All right. Left brain, we like structure, we like lists, we like sequence, we like order. We're usually pretty quick, no BS, no messing around. Who's our left brainers here? Show of hands. All right, there you go. If your wallet's very thin and it bugs you if your 1s, 5s, 10s are not in order, face up, probably definitely left brain. I don't even have a wallet anymore, definitely left brain. Right brainers, more circular in thinking, more visual, more artistic. Who's our right, and there's no good or bad, and more verbose. Who's our right brainers here? All right. So there's no good or bad. It's just understand thyself. Aristotle, understand yourself. So left brain, who's our left brainers again? All right. So what's your name, young lady? What's that? Christine. What do we do, Christine, that bugs? Who's our right brainers? Right here. What's your name? Gail. Christine, what do we do as left brainers that kind of bugs the Gales of the world here? We get up and we do our talks and the Gales are like, oh, kind of rolling their eyes. What do we do? Absolutely. We got a list, right? And by God, we're going to get through our list, right? And we got Gail in the back with her cup of coffee and she's like, hey, Christine, tell a story. You can make this a little more interesting, you know? Right? Right? But we're like, hey, I got a list. It's your problem. And I'm going to get through my list. All right. So we also tend to go a little fast. All right. So my mantra when I'm doing talks slow down. If you're going down in flames, Mike, go down in slow flames, because we can actually go way too fast too. All right. So what I would say, my little trick, left brainers, you're organized, clear, very good. Your audience typically wants a little more from you. And I discipline myself to go slow myself down and go, in fact, let me illustrate, let me give you an example. You're just putting a little more meat on the bones for your audience to actually track with you and take in, versus, because it gets a little boring just listening to a list. All right. Right here, Gail, what do you right brainers do that bugs the Christines of the world? No. No. And actually, Gail, I admire you guys. You guys aren't they amazing? It's like, how do you do that? They fill the void so beautifully. I'm like, it's just like, wow, my brain does not work that way. That's amazing. The problem, Gail, is you're talking to human beings with very short attention spans. Yeah, what'd you say, Mike? Yeah, exactly. So if we were to graph this, you start talking, it's awesome. And you're like at the apex. Like right here, you've got your audience. You're like, they're in the palm of your hand. But Gail, you guys don't stop. You keep going. And now it waters down the impact. And we walk out with like, I'm not sure what to take from that. All right. So you guys tighten it up a little bit, sharpen it up. All right. Make sense? All right. So guess what? You get to practice right now. So turn to your partner, left brainers. Don't take out your phone and time yourself. You don't have to be 59.9 seconds, just FYI. All right. But turn to your partners, and I want you to give your talk in 60 seconds and then switch. All right, ready, set, go. All right, how many people thought they did a fantastic job? Okay. All right. How many people thought their partner was really good? Oh, give them a hand. Good job, partners. Very good, very good. So I think we call that cognitive dissonance. So it can't be both. So when I said, how'd you do? Everybody's like, and I said, how'd your partner do? Oh, really good. Well, which is it? Which is it? Well, for us, it's not that hard, you guys. We just have to, I got to kind of take a second here, organize myself. We just have to discipline ourselves to organize. It's not that hard. It will become second nature. You'll get really good at this the more you practice it. The reason your partner's hand just popped up was, did you notice how easy it was to track your partner? Did you notice how easy it was to follow them? You're speaking in a way that makes it easy for me, the listener. Does that make sense? And that's just one of 100 things we can work on. Make it easy. Keep going back to the theme. Make it easy. All right. So very good. Excellent job. You'll see all of this. Let's see if it works.
I love that it touched on many of the top issues. One being, what's the government's responsibility in this space, and to what extent is the government culpable for ensuring that you are creating a baseline by which any individual should have that legitimate access when the employer isn't stepping in. Two, I love that it talked about the disparate impact for individuals of color, which I know the CFR report also touched on, which a number of nonprofits have been highlighting, because disproportionately you have individuals of color represented in particular occupations that will more likely be at risk for displacement. And then three, I also like the fact that it talked about the importance of, I think to Michael's point, this reskilling, and whether it's the ATM proliferation that created more banks, I think what it also allowed bankers and tellers to do was have advanced skill sets and to take on additional occupations in financial services. And so I think I actually preferred this. I thought it was very well balanced and a great articulation of many of the issues in this space.
Okay, perfect. So she's an executive at LinkedIn. And what I want you to notice here, don't let anybody tell you, oh, if I talk in terms of threes, I'll be inauthentic and stilted and awkward. Not at all. All you're doing is chunking your information so we as your listener can track with you. Within the chunk of information, be yourself. All of you have your own style, your own way of talking. Just do your thing. Notice how natural she is. But she's number one, super easy to follow her. All right. And once again, do you want to do this all the time? Do you want to talk like this all the time? Of course not. Don't go home tonight. Honey, what do you want for dinner? Well, 3 things come to mind. Roast beef, pizza. Don't do that. All right. But hey, you've been, what's your name? Isabel, you've been nominated for a grant. Fantastic. Why should we consider, I got 60 seconds here. What do you got? Why should we consider you for this grant? Is that a blurred out answer, or is that you want to be on your A game? A game. All right. So when you need to be on your A game, rule of three, really good. Other than that, just, simple questions. What's your favorite color? It's blue for 3 reasons. It's blue, it's blue, it's blue. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's called a blurred out answer. We're not going to practice that. It's more those intense type A situations that you want to get very good. So start practicing.
I love.
Now, benefits of structure. Number one is clarity. If you have a structure in mind, you're going to be clear. Clear speaking starts with clear thinking. So clarity. Number two, poise. You calm down. All right. Who gets nervous here? Show of hands. All right. You never get nervous? Come on up here. What's your name? No, I'm kidding. Not that often. When you know where you're going and what you're doing, you calm down and your voice gets a little deeper. You play off your audience. It's called poise. And the biggest thing of everything we're talking about today, I want you to take away from this is the structure is going to paradoxically free you up to let your full expression out, to let your personality out, to let your authenticity out. Why? Why does it do that? Why would structure free us up to be even more expressive? You'd think it forces us to be robotic and stiff and stilted, but why do you think it frees us up? Anybody? Yeah.
Say, then you have freedom to like have a
Get up here and teach the session. Perfect. All right. Exactly. Well, if you think about it, the tension that we go through up here is the neuroscience. We're trying to get ourselves to do 2 things at once consciously, and we cannot do that. All right. We're trying to figure out where I'm going with this thing. What am I going to talk about next? And over here, I'm like trying to connect with human beings as a speaker, and I'm toggling back and forth quickly, which creates tremendous nervousness, tremendous anxiety. All right. And when you know where you're going, to your point, this whole thing collapses. And now all I have to do is connect with my audience. So we're talking about the key to everything we're talking about is a loose structure. And this is a very, very sophisticated executive speaking skill, is to glance at a phrase, look up, and talk in a natural, organic, authentic way. Glance at a phrase, look up, and it's the same thing with the slides. Glance at a phrase. That's why I don't need all that stuff. Glance at the phrase, turn and talk. Does this make sense, everybody? But it's something to discipline yourself and get very good at. I get a lot of perfectionists in my classes where they want to script their talks. You are in a totally different part of your brain when you're doing this, and this is not going to serve you long term. It might get you to a certain level, but it's not going to get you where you want. If you get good enough with what we're talking about here, you're going to be able to do a keynote off a napkin in short order. All right. That's why we're practicing. This feeds into your 60-minute talks. All right. So I have a video here that's designed to traumatize you for the rest of your life and to encourage you not to script talks word for word. I want you to practice, but I want you to practice from idea to idea to idea. So the next time you do that talk, you're crisp, you got your game, you're on it, you know your ideas, but every time you give the talk, the words are a little different and you stay conversational versus scripting where you're in a different part of your brain. So let's see what can happen. This is Michael Bay talking. He's the director of those Transformer movies. Let's see what
Director and producer Michael Bay.
He's got a cheat on her next cheat. He's gonna read.
Good afternoon, Michael.
How is everyone today? My job as a director is I get to dream for a living.
Michael, you're known for such unbelievable action. What inspires you? How do you come up with these unbelievable ideas?
I create visual worlds that are so beyond everyone's normal life experiences. And Hollywood is a place that creates a viewer escape. And what I try to do is, as a director, I try to... the type is all off, sorry, but I'll just wing this.
Tell us what you think.
Yeah, we'll wing it right now.
He's reading.
I try to take people on an emotional ride. And
The Curve? How do you think it's going to impact how viewers experience your movies?
excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's thank Michael Bay for joining us.
Why does that hurt? Why it hurts? Yeah. in front of 1,000 people. All right. So why does that hurt so? I mean, all of us, I got to start filming you guys watching this. What's your name? What? My, so she's watching it through her. She's like this. I can't watch it. All right. Why is it so painful? Because we know this can happen to any one of us, including me. Absolutely. All right. So I should reach out to him, do an after version. So if he would be fine, and he's such amazing, there's tons of content. Just organize yourself. He just needed a napkin is all he needed. Hey, Michael Bay here. What do? I take people on an emotional ride. And I do that in a number of ways. Let's talk about it. Number one, let's talk about special effects. Is this guy an expert in special effects? Can he talk for 10 minutes on special effects? Absolutely. All right, he's a total expert. That's his thing. Number two, let's talk about these ridiculous plots. I can't believe people pay money for this stuff. Talks about his ridiculous plots of his movie. And then thirdly, let's talk some Hollywood gossip. All right, and he's got another. So check. He's got a 30-minute talk off a napkin if he would trust that his brain would flood in with all of his expertise if you're organized. So that's the key there. All right, another one that you can see out there is compare contrast, and this usually shows up as on one hand, on the other hand, yes and no. A big one, especially when it's a nuanced answer, is it depends. If you're talking this, I'd say this. If it's talking this, I'd say this, bottom line. So I would say the rule of, here's an example. If it works, nope, it's not gonna work, that's okay. So what this section here is make a point and prove it. In addition to the rule of three, a speech has two parts. You must state your case and you must prove it. So there's an equation here. And I'm totally talking to my engineer science, folks. So claims without evidence, we all know is fluff. If you want to see fluff, turn the TV on all day long, nothing but fluff. They don't have time to prove their cases, do they? These ads are like $1 million a minute. So what do? They shock us. They jingles, visuals, whatever. If you make claims interpersonally that you don't have evidence, somebody's going to bust you at some point. Somebody's going to say, where'd you get that? How do you know that? Prove that's true? That's why I started the day. Every single one of those bold statistics I have the sources underneath each one. So the equation I want us to lean into is claims plus evidence equals an accepted fact. So you can have objective evidence, which is quantitative or qualitative information records, or you can have subjective evidence, which is an opinion point of view. Both are very powerful. Let's start with objective. Objective can be facts and figures, charts and graphs, tables, word clouds based on statistics, surveys. There's a survey from Microsoft, short little videos. Radiology is undergoing.
I'm going to talk about artificial intelligence and radiology, and the title of my talk is Rise of the Machines. So I want you to think about a quote. Who might have said this first? There is no function the computer cannot do in radiology. Was it Elon Musk, Jeffrey Hinton, Dr. G. Lodwick, or Rusty Hoffman? All
right, so short little videos are very engaging. Notice I use short videos, not long, just short. Get people's attention, visuals, photographs, maps, diagrams, flowcharts, very powerful. Now, we've hammered on logic. Let's just talk about these two before we start winding down here. So Aristotle's character may almost be called the most effective means of persuasion. So subjective evidence. Now, when I'm working with the PhDs at Kellogg, I say, 90% of objective, you got to weigh the audience and the situation you're in. Sometimes people, let me tell you a story. No, please don't. All right. So they're not interested in our story. Examples maybe a little bit more, but you have to weigh who's this audience and how receptive are they to different types of evidence. So when they're doing their PhD job talks, pretty much it's all objective evidence. But once in a while, if you can weave in a story, great. All right. So subjective evidence can take the form of like expert opinion. All right. Technical, legal, political, financial, medical. So you're quoting experts. It can be case studies. Case studies are subjective in nature, using objective to prove their points. Quotes. This is a professor from Wharton. I started the day with a quote from Warren Buffett, and all of us just went like this. Why? All right, let's think about it. Sample size is what? 1. Can we base this on logic? No. So according to Aristotle, if you don't have logic, you better have passion or conviction and or credibility. He's not the most passionate guy. What does he have a ton of? Credibility. So do you see how the subjective evidence is very powerful, but you better have a lot of credibility if you're going this route, all right? So testimonials, this is off your website, by the way. So you got all these wonderful testimonials from patients, all right? Fabulous source of evidence. Examples and stories. We won't have time to go through these, but you definitely, if you can weave in examples. I like examples. They're quick, they're short, to the point. Stories are a little longer, very sticky. I would just be careful not to overdo that. Does the person have time? Are they open to stories? Examples, on the other hand, are like a snapshot in time. It's just very straightforward. So you want to use those, all right? So very quickly, performance skills, eye contact, gestures, posture, energy, voice. Obviously, eye contact, start with the friendlies. Most presentations that you give, you'll have somebody right in the front, not in this room, of course, but you'll have somebody scowling at you. Don't look at these people, all right? Look at the people smiling and nodding. So there's a nice person, there's a nice person, there's a nice person. He looks like he's got some indigestion, not going to look at him, all right? So I'm joking. So start the friendlies, and then after 5 minutes, you don't care. Mix it up. 2 seconds, roughly. This is international and doesn't matter with gender. 1, 2, just connect. 1, 2, 1, 2. Can you get every single person in the room? Of course not. 1, 2. Get the sections of the room. 1, 2, 1, 2. The whole section feels acknowledged. Treat everybody the same. And you want to get the corners. Online, try this next time online. So online, because I'm so selfish, I much rather look at the person's face, all right? So what's your name? Tina. So Tina, how are you doing, Tina? So good to see you, Tina. Oh my gosh, how's the family? What is Tina looking at on her end? The top of my head, not a great look, Tina, all right? So, but selfishly, I'd rather look at it. So next time you're online, look how selfish people are. They look at the faces. If I wanted to be generous with Tina, I'd look up at that ridiculous green dot. On Tina's end, it looks like I'm looking right at her, right? So it's a very powerful thing in service of connecting on a human level, all right? Gestures.
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
Be good just to hold them down by your side. Yeah, great.
Well, we're real happy with what was going on.
All right, with gestures, I would say just a little too casual. Just 1%, let your hand slightly touch, and then be expressive. I don't have rules for gestures. I say just be like you're with friends over coffee. Let them do their thing. You know, there's a book out there which became a thing. Now people reference the book. There's no evidence for this. Keep your hands in the strike zone. Oh, wow, I'm really being persuasive now. You know, this is ridiculous, all right? So just let your hands be natural. Let go natural. I mean, if you're doing something funky, I'll say, hey, what's up the left arm? But stance, this has nothing to do. I want you to, next time you're up speaking, I want you to test yourself. It's a very gutsy thing to do. Has nothing to do with height. It's all about energy. And I would say one of the most powerful speakers I've ever seen is an admiral at the Navy. She came out and she's like 4'11". She's like, all right, folks, what are we going to do in 2016? Let's talk about this. Shoulders back, head up like this. It's a gutsy thing. It commands attention. It states, I'm here and I've got this. All right. Good morning. I'm Mike. Look how much power I just lost in the room just by leaning. All right. So is it okay to move? Yes and no. I would say if you're doing repetitive stuff, no. It's okay to move between main points and then stop, plant, and talk to us. Online, just sit up straight and look at your camera. This is a big one. Perspective. Once again, this would be one of the top things to take from today. The top of the mountain as speakers, I really want you to get this, is not perfection. I know perfectionism has served us in so many different ways in our careers, in our life. Speaking is not one of them. Speaking is not one of them. Perfectionism. So what's your name, sir? Kevin and I walk out after Gail's talk, and Kevin and I, sorry, Gail, we don't walk out and go, Kevin, her gestures were absolutely perfect and her eye contact 2 seconds. What a great speaker. Do we ever say that, Kevin? No. And Gail, because we're so selfish, we walk out, hey, Kevin, I forget what her name is, but you know what she was talking about, how AI is going to impact radiology? Do you know what this means for us? Do you know what we're going to do with this, Kevin? And what happened, Gail, is your ideas became our ideas. That's the top of the mountain. Does that make sense? Now, Gail, your ideas magnified 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. Talk about professional power. Holy cow. Does that make sense, everybody? So I want you to change what you think about the top of the mountain. Did these people walk out with your ideas? And the key, like I'm doing right now, the key is educate your audience. If you think about it, the most persuasive people are the ones who educate you and show you everything why you should buy into something. So become educators. And so I would say I've only seen 5 types of speakers over the years. The first time, your intention when you get up is, I hate public speaking. I'm just going to talk as fast as I can, get this thing done as quickly as possible, get back to my chair as quickly as possible because I can't stand this. I'm not going to even take a breath. All right. These people, they just want to get it done as quickly. That's their intention is, I hate this. I want to get it done. These folks, so Kevin's Mr. Personality on break. Hey, Kevin, I'm telling the story. Then, good afternoon. I am Kevin. I have 3 key things. It's like, what happened to Kevin's personality? These folks are totally into perfectionism. These folks, this is more of a University of Chicago thing. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. They're doing a bit, even though we call it performance skills, we have to call it something. It's not a performance, all right? It's not a performance. And they're hard for me to detect, but once in a while I'll see that somebody's doing a presentation performance. Hey, everybody, how's it going? I'd really enjoy being here today. I could care less if you actually retain this. I just want to make sure this looks good. And this is my career, all right? So it's a little slick. I would say, I want you to perform well, but I want you to stay on this side of the fence of it's about connecting with your audience versus performing for your audience. A big difference, big difference. These folks, they're bored and uninvested in the audience experience. Anybody ever said that? You know, they're not, so that's no passion, but they have to be there, and it's not fun as an audience. This is what I want for all of you. This is what I want for all of you. So what's your name? What? Okay. So, okay. So you're going to get up and you're going to give a presentation, and you're all going to get quizzed on her content at the end of her talk. The percent that you all get on that quiz is the percent of her salary that she's getting for the next year. Anybody want to guess how she talked? Would she be super quick, robotic, slick, uninterested? No, or would she be like, you have to understand this. What's really important, and what I'm saying, and this is what's going to take all of you from good speakers to truly compelling speakers, is your commitment to having your audience get it. And that's the thing, and I can't teach you this. This comes from your internal commitment, your desire to have your audience walk out with your material. It makes my gesture do this weird thing at the same time my voice does this inflection, at the same time I lean forward. And all of the presentation skills falls into place naturally when I really want you to take away something important. I slow down, my voice changes. Does that make sense? And then all of this falls into place naturally. So that's the thing you want to drive there with performance skills. Voice, I would just say everybody a little louder. And I would say one more thing here, and that is slow down. If you have an or problem, just slow it down, and those will disappear for you. How are we doing on time, Andrew? We're almost done? Okay, or we are done. All right, so what I would just say with audience-centric design, and I'll wrap it here, it's 1:04, is you just want to make sure that you actually optimize every section of your talk. And the key is to go from there to there. And regardless of whether it be a pitch or research proposal, you actually need to take your audience from zero attention all the way to totally buy in with what you're talking about. And I would say you want to optimize your components. You want to have a very solid opening where you address their why. The body of the talk, you want to make sure it's structured and very interesting and great transitions and a lot of executive takeaways. People are only listening to half of what you say, so you have to do executive takeaways throughout to give people an understanding of what you're talking about, structure clearly, a nice closing. And the big one that I will close on is I want you to anticipate the questions you're going to get, because if there's a talk that falls apart, it falls apart during the Q&A, all right? That's when you get those impromptu questions coming at you. And what you want to do is you want to anticipate what those 5 to 10 are, and then you want to write up a rule of 3 on each one of those, and then you want to practice them verbally. You might not get exactly those questions, but you'll get something pretty close, and you'll be that much more on top of your game there. All right. So other than that, I would just close it up by just saying, I want to just encourage all of you to take what you've learned here and start applying it in everyday situations. And as you get good at everyday situations, it's going to feed into your formal stand-up presentations. That's why I start, my courses are all upside down and backwards. I start all of my courses with impromptu speaking like you did before. That, if you can get good at that, this is easy compared to those everyday situations where you're just impromptu all day long. So work on that, totally feeds into this, and you should be good to go. All right, thank you.